Welcome back to Zero Gravity Live, your weightless monthly tech talk podcast, bringing all the latest news, grooves, and discussions right to you. My name is Anthony Cusimano. I'm your host, and I want to know, where are you watching from today? So let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from. I'm joined by my two bestest friends, Matt Price and just Sterling. He's gone full share. We don't mention anything other than just Sterling. How are y'all doing today, gents?
He's
Really
like
great.
Seal, man. He just needs one name.
Just the one name. That's it. It's the branding. I'm feeling great, man. How are you?
I'm doing just well. And you know who else is feeling pretty great? We've got someone in the wings here that I think we need to bring on. We have a special guest joining us today. Welcome to the show, Brian Beeler. How you doing, buddy?
Hey guys, doing well. I was just playing Clash Royale while you were talking. I thought I had a little more time.
We can send him back. We can spin for a few more minutes. Well, thank you for joining us on the show. We did prep you for this, but a little ritual we like to do on here every episode is a game called What's in Your Office. Now, we've never seen your office before, so we want to know what cool thing do you have in there to share with us today?
In my office, I have 30 terabyte Hammer hard drives from Seagate. We've reviewed these as individuals, and we've got a group we're going to put into a NAS and do some group testing. But for all of the hard drive lovers that want their hard drives powered by freaking lasers, we've got that. And for all the home labbers, if I get a shameless plug in and you want one of these cool magnets that say stay out or risk bodily harm, we've got these in our store. So
That's awesome.
check out StorageReview.com for that. I don't sell the hard drives, but I do sell the magnets.
I've got to get
Love
one of
it.
those magnets. That's a must. What are those hard drives spin at?
What are they spinning?
Yeah.
Well, they got little platters inside, and the platters hold all your data, just like inside your object-first appliances.
Is that a speed listed there? The RPMs?
Is it 10
These are all 7,200. I think the
7,200.
5,400s are gone at this point, but 10 platters inside, 3 terabytes of platters. Seagate says they can probably get to 50 terabytes on this platform or one similar to it. So, I mean, it's just a progression of 3 to 4 to 5 terabytes per platter. But still, the density in these hard drives is pretty incredible and a big part of what you guys do. So I thought that would be enjoyable.
I mean, I don't believe in physics at all, just as a general state. I don't understand how you can fit 30 terabytes in something that size. That just seems impossible to me.
This 3.5-inch footprint's been the same for decades now. So helium was the first thing that went in that really changed the game. SMR to some extent, but really this heat assisted magnetic recording is pretty killer.
That's what it is.
That is
Okay,
wild.
interesting. I'm gonna have to watch some vids because I am extremely curious. That's impressive.
Agreed.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I know, Sterling, you've got something fun in your office too, right?
I mean, there's just something that I'm super excited about that I've been waiting to tell everybody about. And some of you may have already guessed that, I'm a little bit of a mobile device gadget, and I've been waiting for something certainly to drop, and it finally has. And with me today,
Is it the Windows Phone?
No, it is not the it is not the continuation of the Windows Phone. We're still waiting for that, okay? It was never actually discontinued. It was just put on hold. Anyway, I digress. What I'm holding with me today is a Galaxy Z Fold 7. And you'll see that this is currently the lightest and thinnest foldable on the market anywhere in the world today. It is crazy, surprisingly thin. This actually has a carbon fiber thin-borne case on top of it. So this is, even with the case, it's super thin. Honestly, my initial reaction has been it's amazing. I will have some more content coming on this recently, or coming in the coming weeks. I'm actually forced to use this as my daily driver right now. You also may know that I use an iPhone as my daily driver, but usually use the fold devices as sort of a miniature computer. Well, I've been really thrown into it because just last week, my iPhone got smushed by a car and is waiting for a replacement. So while it's a whole story, it involves a motorcycle. We'll go into it some other time.
Have you tried putting it in a bowl of rice?
Yeah. Oh, there's no help in this. This is smashed to bits, including the reason why it's in a plastic bag is the glass back is completely smashed. So you know what? I'm using this app as an opportunity to be thrown directly into the Z Fold 7. We're going to see what this thing can do. That's my big give for this week.
Wait,
So-
before
so
we
let
leave
me
this
take-
topic, I must say the Pocket PC thing that did exist briefly was in a fun era. I actually was in that. I ran a website called Brighthand for a while and just covered these handhelds. And at the last Dell Tech World that was held in Austin, so after the EMC merger, but before they moved it out to Vegas, so I don't know, 5 years ago, somebody asked Michael in the Q&A, Michael, are we going to see the return of the Pocket PC or any Windows-based phones? And he laughed a little bit, and his answer was unequivocally no. So, if for anyone holding out hope that Pocket PC is coming back, I think it's dead, Jim.
Too
It
many
is.
baby blue screens of death, right?
It
And
is.
you know, the one thing that I've got to say on that, Sterling, is I think the foldable tech is really cool. I really love the idea of being able to double your screen size from a singular sized phone, almost like a little baby iPad in your pocket. My only gripe, and I understand the reason why they're doing it, is I feel like for a phone, as well as even an iPad, there is such a thing as too thin. When you start getting so thin, it almost makes it hard to hold. And, you know, it's easy to lose grip and drop the thing. Obviously, you've got the durability variables, but the thinness alone to me is one of those things where I feel like there's a happy medium where let's quit trying to make them like a piece of paper and just realize they need to be rugged and, you know, you can grab a hold of it without dropping it.
You know
But
what?
it looks really cool.
You're absolutely right. Just real quick on that. That is actually one of the knocks on this is that it's so thin, it can actually be a little bit hard to handle.
Yeah.
The issue is that when it was thicker, it was too thick to be pocketable. It was too
Yep.
heavy. It was all the things. Now it's actually thin. You really can't see it because in the plastic, it is the same thickness as the
That's wild.
iPhone.
That
And
is
of course,
crazy.
Apple is announcing they are now coming out with their foldable tech, likely to be announced later this year to come out next year. And what is it going to use? Samsung screens. The technology is here.
Okay.
And I think we're going to see a proliferation of that. There are people in this market that this fits for me, but
Yeah.
every day, day to day, the Apple ecosystem still is formidable, you know, and so I will continue to use both for the coming time. But real quick, Brian, I loved Brighthand. I was a regular viewer, regular reader. I've been in this mobile device craze for some years, so we'll have to discuss that more offline.
Nothing beats the BlackBerry keyboard. I mean, even today,
Yes.
I would kill for the BlackBerry keyboard on a phone.
So true.
Until they
I
tried
was-
to make it clickable on the screen, and that was an era we shall not discuss.
I was just gonna say, with all the folds and the thinning and all of that, like, why has no one added a keyboard back? Because
Agreed.
Yes.
I feel like now you've got the real estate, right? You
I
can
agree.
fold the thing, you can put the keyboard back there. So
I
I
Well,
wanna
they
see it
had
happen.
even the accessories, if you remember, for the Palm Pilots, like the 5, which everybody knew from that era, which changed mobile computing forever,
Yeah.
really.
Yes.
And then they would have those little clip-on keyboards for the bottom that people loved because you could type so quickly with
Yes.
that. And even now on the virtual keyboards on iOS, like my thumbs are just dumb, or I can't see well, or there's some combination where I keep mashing V's instead of B's, and it's not the best experience. But that tactile feel of that BlackBerry keyboard will probably never be replaced. And I sound like old man yelling at clouds, but yeah.
Totally agree.
Could not
Agree.
agree more.
I think we're all in unison, so I guess we're all old.
Yes. Well,
You know-
here's a trivia question for you. And
Yeah.
the Palm OS still exists today in a different form, much different form. But do you remember who bought Palm OS assets at the time they wrapped down that company?
Wasn't it BlackBerry?
It was LG.
It was
Oh.
LG.
And they made it the foundation for their WebOS TV.
What?
You know, I
No.
do remember that.
I have a
do
WebOS
remember
TV in my living room.
that.
I
Yeah.
didn't know I had a ancestor of the Palm in there. That's so cool.
That is pretty amazing.
Love that. Well, you know, Sterling, you said the word thickness earlier, and that got me thinking. You know, we've got some pretty thick appliances that we've released in the last year. One especially thick. And Brian, we invited you on the show because we actually sent some of these to you, and we'd love to hear about your experience with them. So I figured we could just start with, what'd you think about the hardware? You got your hands on it. What was your immediate reaction?
So we got both sets of hardware. We got the smaller 2040 terabyte version, and we got the much larger Dell R760 XT2 version that underpins the 432. They're both great for different reasons. Of course, we gravitated to the big system because that's what we like to do here. And I'll show you, we're using it quite extensively. You'll be impressed in the footprint that we're up to on that 432. But we, I mean, who doesn't love PowerEdge? It's one of the greatest platforms, server platforms ever created. There are others that are really good too, but the hardware design with getting 24 hard drives into that 2U form factor. And if you guys haven't seen it, what happens is there's a little mid plane and then another drive set of 12 pops up. And so you can access those 12 bays, 12 in front. And it's all hot swappable, field serviceable while running. So that you don't want to leave it open forever, but you could get in there and swap a drive if it fails. You've got Boss Drive for boot, which gives you some redundancy. You've got the caching NVMe drive in the back. So we can tear into all that. And on the smaller side, I mean, that little server that has 8 drives in it, 8 hard drives in it, and then the cache drive and boot drives, it's just economical for edge locations, smaller locations. And when you look at what you guys are doing from the software side, there's no discernible difference. You can't, when you're administering these things, they're the same. The setup's the same. There may be a couple more configurations on the big one that's not on the little one, but we're splitting hairs at that point.
Right. That's super cool. And I love that. I love that you enjoyed the little pop-out bay on that 432. That took me by surprise the first time I saw it. I didn't even realize that's how we were doing it. And also, it's impressive to me how airflow works on that box, because it's got to pass through 2 whole racks of disk essentially to get to the actual parts that need cooling. So it's an impressive unit.
The only net negative for you guys is you don't get the bright orange bezel on the front of that one. And so, as I said, we have a video deep dive on the hardware. And as I said in that video, I believe one of the most aggravating things the Object First has ever done was sending that first unit to us when we did the initial review. When we had that in the rack and it sat there for many months, it was in our environment. In the background of every social video, of a lot of photos, it was always there. And I heard from more than one of your competitors that they were aggravated by the bright orange bezel. So you will not get that glory with the 432 because the airflow is critical in that design. And Dell uses that design in other parts of their business where they need the density. You guys picked up on it from the OEM side and are taking advantage of that double stacked hard drive configuration and making full use of it.
Now you got your hands on our boxes in the past, and we've done this effort with you before. What was your impression of the initial setup experience for both of the units?
So the first time we did this about a year ago, right after launch, or maybe it's been a little longer now, the setup process was so simple that I missed it. This was a story that we've talked about before, but backup and recovery appliances are not typically easy to set up and configure despite manufacturer claims. So I think if you've been in IT, you've been around for a while, you'll hear, oh yeah, we can set this thing up in minutes or under an hour or whatever, rack and stack, and you're backing up in half a day, and that's good in some cases. You guys ship a little laminate with each system, and it says, take it out, put it in the rack, plug it in, give it power, turn it on, do a couple CLI commands, and then you're off and running. Go to Veeam, tell it it's there, and then you're done. And we see that, and we did the rack part, and I was like, there's no way. Nothing ever works that way. There's always a network configuration problem. There's always some download the updated software system BIOS or whatever, and that takes a while to turn over and reboot and go through all that. So I went and had lunch, and I came back and I said, Kevin, how's it going? And he said, we're done. I'm like, All right, well, I'm not going to make that same mistake the second time. So the second time with the 432, when we provisioned that, we got on a call with one of your guys and had the laminate. Kevin and I had already racked it. Things heavy.
Heavy.
It's stout.
Yeah. So we racked it, plugged it in, had it ready in seriously 8 minutes. I mean, we really didn't even need your guy, to be honest, but you just go through the steps, bang, 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 done. And tell Veeam, here's the new target, go, have your mutability policy set. It's it.
Yeah. Longest part of it sounds like going to get the other guy to help you rack it.
Yeah. Well, the picture on top of the server has 3 guys. If you get the 432, we were able to do it with 2 guys in a Husky desk from Lowe's. So it can be done with 2. Definitely not a one-man job.
Agreed.
You know, it's funny you mentioned the laminate because I'm the one who builds those, and I actually got caught. They're like, you need to add a note. Product reach out to me. They're like, you have to add a note on this that says you cannot do this with a single person. Either have one of those racking table things, forget what they're called, or get another human being because we don't want to be held responsible if that falls and breaks toes, because it absolutely will break toes.
Yeah, it's the 432 is really heavy.
120 something pounds
with it. Yeah. But it's dense. You're getting all that to you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of upside to that too. And being heavy in a rack's no big deal. Being efficient in rack U is a big deal for many use cases.
Agreed.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Matt and Sterling, any other questions for Brian on the hardware before we move into some of the soft side of things?
I think we go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to echo the whole point about the double stack disks. I really thought, to your point, Brian, that's super like engineering and innovative from Dell to actually build that type of architecture with the airflow. And I remember in the full length video, that one segment where your colleague is talking about the little air channel piece of plastic and being the most intelligent piece in the whole server case is because of the way it directs airflow. And I thought that was pretty cool. And you got to have a lot of moving air to keep all those disks cool when you're ingesting as fast as that thing can receive data.
Well, I mean, that's what you get when you go to a nicer platform. And so from an object first perspective, I guess I think of it as outside looking in, like, so what does that give us? Well, it gives us the density. It lets us reach higher into the enterprise in terms of where we can put these units. And it also gives us access to customers that want that quality, especially for something as critical as backup and recovery and ransomware protection and all of those things. And there's a lot of little stuff like the air shroud for airflow that, not everyone does that. And do you pay for it? Yeah, you do. You pay for it. I mean, that's what you do when you go with a Dell or a ProLiant or any of the nicer systems. But it's just really nice, really thoughtfully designed, and you're not going to run into any airflow challenges. These things, especially the 760 XT2, it's been out for a little while now. Well battle worn and well understood. Plus, again, and I don't have any insight into this from a execution standpoint on your side, I would think it gives your channel partners something to hang on to that might be Dell shops that can take this to places where potentially they couldn't take you before. So I think it's great. We're pretty big fans of the decision.
I agree. That's some of the feedback as I'd heard from partners, really even before we had announced this, asking if we were going to take on any new manufacturers as far as hardware. And of course, we couldn't say what we were doing in the background with Dell, but we're super excited for all those aforementioned reasons. Some of the feedback I think that I've gotten from the field in doing some of the technical labs are, definitely that it's stout, it's heavy. We've already gone over that. Most of them put it in that the bottom rack for obvious reasons there. And believe it or not, they love the orange Ootbi front on the others. So of course, the other bit of feedback is, when do we even get one that even is just some orange in the front? So, but there's been nothing about the actual solution itself, the appliance itself that's been negative. In fact, to your point, Brian, it really opens up a new motion. We just announced our consumption service, which is a pay-as-you-go per terabyte service. And this really allows some of our partners that are really in the service provider space that not only do managed services on their premises with those larger boxes, but in addition to some of those smaller boxes that actually sit on premises with the customer themselves, and to be able to to use those together. So this really does answer a part of the environment that we're really pushing up into. So it's great to hear your feedback on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you got to do is when you've got enough volume, you're going to have to OEM Dell drive caddies and make those dudes orange, because that'll be the one way where you can stand out, is have those front 12 hard drive caddies bright object first orange, and that'll make it the monster, and then go back to aggravating your
You hear that, Anthony? That's not a bad idea. It's better than my spray paint suggestion. Okay.
I was about to say, Brian, we need to get some chicken wire, spray paint it orange, and fabricate a bezel just so it stands out.
No, I'm just going to spray paint our caddies. It'll look a little ghetto, but it'll be orange-ish.
Very nice.
I didn't expect for us to get actual like usable product feedback on this call. Thanks, Brian. I'll make sure to pass that along to our team.
I apologize. I don't traditionally mean to be useful.
Well, I love it, and I do appreciate the fact that people get so excited about the orange, and just so you know, we have passed that along in all seriousness, and we do know that there is some excitement around the orange, and we'll see what we can do in the future. Let's talk a little bit about your experience with the software side of things, right? Like configuration's all well and good, but what was your experience once you got to the nitty-gritty of writing backups and using the box?
I mean, I hate to sound boring, but it just works. I mean, there's nothing to it. Once you're in Veeam and you direct it to your immutable buckets or whatever you want to do on the Ootbi appliance, there's really not a lot there. Yeah. And aside from occasional updates or checking for alerts, I mean, I know you've got traps you can email and integrate with APIs for monitoring. There's not a lot to be done, which I guess is a great review, but also it's, it doesn't need a lot of babysitting. It just sort of chunks along and does its thing. And we already had the confidence in immutability because we did it wrong the first time. When we had that first appliance in, Kevin, who runs our labs, like, immutability, that sounds good. Let's just do a bunch of full backups, 30-day immutability tag. That'll be cool. We'll have all these backups that can't be tampered with for a long time, except they can't be tampered with for a long time. And we filled up our appliance and had to wait for those flags to age out before we could remove them. So we did not do that this time. And so we better understood immutability, which I think is important. Not everyone will get that out of the gate, or maybe they will, and we're just idiots, which is distinctly possible. But again, it just does its thing, and we haven't had any issues or questions. And actually, I would ask you guys, because this is an interesting one to me. With setup being so easy, with ongoing maintenance being relatively limited, I mean, there's just not a lot to do there. What do you hear back from your partners and customers? Can something like this be too easy?
Well, I'll give you my personal experience, and Matt and Sterling have seen this in real time. Every year at our sales kickoff, we invite one of our customers to come speak about their experience with Ootbi, and we get a lot of volunteers, so they're excited to talk about it. And then we get them on stage, and I ask them a question. It's like, how much do you use the box? And they say, well, I set it up.
Yep.
And then what did you do? Well, it works. It's there when we need it for data. Like, it doesn't make for the most interesting motivational customer kickoff conversation because, like you said, it's so simple. It just works. We locked out all of the fun, customizable things that you normally get with storage for security reasons. It's a blessing and a curse for me as a marketer, because you want to tell stories that compel people, and what's more compelling than it just works, but also what's more marketing used in the industry than it just works and normally it doesn't.
Yeah. No, normally it doesn't. And so do not invite me to the next one, because I'll just give you a shoulder shrug and be like, it's been online for 8 months. It hasn't done anything. I mean, it doesn't break. It doesn't cause any distraction. And then we've got immutability there when we need it, if we need it. So, yeah.
the 5-minute keynote with Brian Beeler.
Yeah, I have no more enthusiasm to give you on that front, unfortunately.
Thanks for attending my TED Talk.
Yeah. No, I would totally echo what Anthony said. Like, based on what I've seen, it's you get two schools of thought, really. You get the people that want to pull the levers and the people that don't want any levers to pull because they know that's the most secure that it can be. And, I think we're starting to see more people get that. And a lot of it is just a mind shift where, the admins and the storage administrators of old are used to unboxing and setting up networking, setting up IQNs and LUNs and all this stuff. Yeah. And the fact that they can't do that, sometimes they're like, head scratching. But when you look at it from a security, perspective, there's a reason why we don't want those people doing that. And it's, just paramount being security front and center, not only from disgruntled employees, insider attacks, but also just honest human mistakes. So I think more of the industry, from what I've seen, are starting to take that approach. Just keep everything simple. It works exactly the way it's supposed to work with Veeam. And like you said, very minimal user inputs required. And one of the last things I'll mention to double down on something you said earlier, it doesn't matter which box you get from us. It's the same. It's the same experience. It's the same setup. And I mean, that couldn't be any easier.
Yeah, I would say too that there's something else I learned from Anthony actually in the last couple of weeks, is that we've never made a support call. And even if we did, we'd probably just email you and circumvent the process. But if we did make a support call, the validation of end user credentials, the validation that you guys do on the support side to make sure that your people are credentialed to issue that support, that was something that I was not intimately aware of, and I think that's really cool. And the other thing that you just hit on is about bad actors. I mean, we're all worried about ransomware for phenomenal reasons. It's out there, it's increasing, it's never going to go away, and it targets backups. But as an operator of a small business, I think I worry more about accidents and malicious intent from within the organization than anything. And so Ootbi does a lot to protect you from that as well.
Yeah, and it's super interesting for me. One more point, and then we can move on. We had at Veeam on this year, we partnered up with Veeam and one of our customers who was actually part of a ransomware incident. And they told their whole story on a stage at a breakout session. And one of the funniest parts for me was them talking about how when everything was locked out and they lost access to everything, the FBI was the one that was like, "What's that box over there?" Because that's the only thing that's still running in your environment. And that was Ootbi. So, ideally, we don't have to have those kind of conversations and those success stories, but they are there and it is there. You might not be touching it or interacting with it every day, but it's certainly doing its job and it's ready to act when the time comes. And I think with that, Brian, I know you've got it set up in your lab. Yeah. You volunteered to do a little screen share for us today, so I'd love to see what you're up to in there.
Well, I'll screen share as a non-backup administrator, so hold on tight for this whirlwind of activity. But yeah, when we, so I was joking that, in the video we did, the long form on YouTube, we were up to 1% used, and now you'll see we've grown our usage by 20%. So I think that's good. We're up to 1.2% used on the 432 terabyte appliance.
Nice.
A couple things. We talked about security. We haven't done this, but the out-of-band management for servers is a prime attack vector for ne'er-do-wells. So you'll get warnings like this that say we should disable iDRAC. Most organizations would do that. Mm-hmm. We just like to live on the edge a little bit. It would say that for the A-Speed one as well on Supermicro. So everything you see here looks exactly like it looks like on any one of these appliances. And as we go into monitoring, you can see our recent hits. We must have had a little backup go there, but you can scale out and watch the traffic over whatever periods of time you want. We actually took it offline for a little while there, so that's why you'll see a gap. Our lab is always up and down. We're not a normal organization. But a couple other things that are interesting. In the 432, you pick up higher speed networking. So we're only using 10 gig here, but the device supports 25, which gets you the quicker, just over the line speeds, which is a nice touch in this one. And we talked about disks quite a bit. As we take a look at the expansion here, there's a couple things. So we talked about 24 hard drives. This is actually a, 30 bay system. So what you see here with these two drives, this is the BOSS NVMe redundant M.2 unit that Dell offers. It's a rated together boot drive which protects the OS, which is nice. It's another way of with minimal hardware of getting that security for your boot drives. One of those could fail, your boot stays up, you're good to go. It's a hot swap part, really easy to manage. BOSS is one of the greatest things ever. You can see we've got all these 24 terabyte drives all the way down here, and we get to the very bottom of the list, and we've got this guy. So on this platform, we talked about the 12 drives in front, the mid-plane riser that's got 12 more drives. Around the back is where you would find those redundant BOSS boot drives, but also another 4 bay chunk, which is an option in the 760 XT2 that you guys have enabled. And we've got the 1.6 terabyte NVMe drive in there, which does a lot of things that are important to the system, including caching. So that's a neat thing to have. All of your systems have that, but this drive's a little bit bigger to account for the larger footprint. But everything else is pretty garden variety with the bucket set up. We've got immutability configured. You've got your S3 keys, and then alerts and event logging. I mean, again, there's just not a lot here because it's just so streamlined and simple. One of my favorite things to do, and I would have done it today, is to run a live update while the system's running, like in production times. And I think I already checked today to see if there was one. We don't have a point release, but you guys are really great about putting out regular releases. And when we see those show up here, we'll run them even while the system's backing up, man, because we're insane like that. It works.
Put it through its paces.
It works fine. So like everything about it is, I wish I could make you guys sweat and run it while we're on this broadcast. Because I love that. It's not my box. It won't hurt me. It'll only hurt you guys. It works. Every time we do it, it works. Blah, blah, blah. Nice. The thing works fine.
True.
So anyway, it's neat. It's really simple. I'm not an admin. I mean, people can walk through this. And in the initial configuration of your S3 buckets, to set that up, get the keys situated, then hand that over to your Veeam environment is really the biggest lift for setup, and there's not much lifting.
Agreed. You know what's funny is in talking about how we said it's just so simple. It's like, what feedback do you get from partners and customers? And you're absolutely right. We do these technical labs really globally, and what it does is it brings a lot of our administrators together to get hands-on, not just on the Object First appliance, but also on Veeam as well. And I get asked a lot, Sterling, this sets up in like 15 minutes or less. What are we going to do for the rest of the time? And so to your point, it's pretty easy. There's not much else to do other than when we set up the TUI, get into the GUI, set up the bucket, set up some keys, but the rest is done in Veeam. And that absolutely maintains a level of security because you don't have a bunch of competing types of security that sort of cancel each other out. There's one place to go for that single source of truth. And also to take the time, to your point, to understand, what is this immutability thing? What are those types of wrappers that they have around the data that keeps them from being able to delete? And how do you live when something's really immutable? So a lot of this really isn't spent in the actual GUI itself. We keep that streamlined, not a bunch of backdoors for obvious reasons. But then we get into the mantra of protecting your data today, and what does that mean in terms of immutability in your data sets?
Well, so here's another thing too that I think is important, and this is mostly done by Veeam, but your integration there kind of gets you carried along with it. Is we all know about the changes in VMware licensing. VMware is not going away, obviously. It's the enterprise OS for a lot of very large customers. They're never going to move off on it. But for a lot of small customers, and I just saw another post in Reddit this week about the renewal being, what was it, $300,000 to $500,000 a year. And these guys ended up going to Proxmox. They detailed the way they transitioned. I think it was 8 physical servers and, I don't know, a couple hundred VMs over to Proxmox, and they got into it for much less, 10% or less of the cost.
Wow.
And it's just something that's important to understand, that as Veeam continues to grow their scope with their integration with Proxmox, with all the other stuff they're doing, you guys just kind of pull along with that. And it's not that you have to do anything different as Object First, but Object First customers get the benefits as Veeam continues to roll these things out. And I think that's why, to me, we love the big box. We love big, heavy things, obviously. But to me, the little boxes are as important to Object First strategy and the ability to service a wide variety of customers as the big boxes.
Well said.
Couldn't agree more. And we did get a question from our audience. Let me pull this up here. Just taking a second to pop up on the screen. Are there any hidden costs or overheads associated with maintaining the Ootbi appliance ransomware resilience features? And I know this is not so much for you, Brian, but Matt and Sterling, care to answer that one?
I would say absolutely not. I mean, no hidden cost because it's S3 object lock, right? And as Brian, I'm sure saw, it's checked by default when you first create the bucket, like y'all encountered during the first review. And it's just enabled by default. And I think the other important thing to mention is Object First enables object lock at the bucket level, but we do not control the time. So the time variable is entirely up to what you set on the Veeam side of the house. So if you need those backups immutable for 7 days or 30 days, Veeam is where you dictate how long that immutability window lasts. So it depends on your growth, how much storage you need, what your turnaround time is, how your 3-2-1 tiering off site to the cloud, perhaps for longer term immutable ransomware protected backups, but no underlying hidden cost. It's part of it. And in fact, that's how we got our name Ootbi to begin with, out of the box immutability.
Matt, oh, go ahead, Brian.
Just one thing there that I think is important, just from an independent observer here. You guys have a calculator to help customers size their environment. And I think that's something that you guys probably talk about to your customers a lot, but if you're not familiar with Object First, depending on the group in here today, that's something that's really cool and should definitely be talked about.
Brian, I thought that was very well said. I literally was about to chime in to say to Matt, thank you for pointing out the fact that there could be overheaded costs associated or hidden things associated with immutability itself. It's something to really get your head around if you haven't been using immutability in the past, but now with today's ransomware threats, you really need to use it. And so there are no hidden costs with the Ootbi appliance, the Object First Ootbi appliance, but there is an understanding that goes into keeping your backups resilient during today's threats as well. Very good points, Brian and Matt.
And you mentioned this up at the front, Sterling, but you have your choice too. If you want to buy a box and hold on to it forever, we offer a CapEx purchase that includes, support, and you own the box. You own the immutable data in the box for as long as you own it. But Sterling mentioned this. We also have recently announced a consumption model, and scan that QR code if you're interested in learning more about that. But that is basically a pay-as-you-grow model, right? That will grow alongside your backup footprint. We own the hardware, you own your data. So, you put it on our box and we'll get you the right size box for what you need. And you just pay for what you use.
That's right, Anthony.
You got two options there. That's right. And it's either option is easy, but the one thing I can say with absolute certainty is there is no nickel and diming. There's you pay for what you use or you pay for the box, and we never lock out a feature or a specific security functionality to charge you for it later. It's very simple, very basic pricing model.
Yep.
And I think with that, we've spent a lot of time on the box today. So one, just thank you, Brian, for joining us. Be sure if you're watching to scan this QR code and check out his storage review deep dive. Any closing thoughts for us, Brian?
I will say that there is some entertainment value in the video. So
there is.
there's a little bit. We love hardware, but at the end of the day, we try not to take ourselves or any of it so seriously that we can't still have a little enjoyment with it. Look, fundamentally, when we looked at this thing, we've tracked these guys Object First from like day -1. I mean, we were early money on understanding what they were doing, seeing them at the Veeam conferences and understanding where they were going. The solution from day one has been dead simple, and that's from deployment, management, recoveries, everything very, very simple, tightly integrated with Veeam, and it's just really simple. So with the new hardware systems at the entry level with 20 and 40, and at the higher end level with 432, and the ability to cluster or federate them for larger environments or mixed environments, they don't all have to be the same. There's a lot of cool stuff going on there. So, again, continues to be very simple to use, and now touches a much more broad market segment with the smaller and the big heavy unit.
Couldn't have said it better if I wanted to myself. Big thank you from us here at Object First, Brian, for joining us today. We always love getting to spend the time with you, and your insights they're both intriguing as well as humorous. So we appreciate having you here. And I couldn't agree more. Watch that video. It's so much more fun than I expected it to be. So
tried to make backup a little more entertaining than it usually is.
Usually I'm like scrubbing through these things at like 4x speed just to get the review done. I'm like, this is funny. I'm sitting through the whole thing here. So props to you for that. Thanks as always to Matt and Sterling for joining us. And I want to shout out, before our next episode, we've actually got a little bit of an event coming up. We will be having a launch event called Flexible Access to Immutable Backup on September 2nd at 11 a.m. CEST. So scan that QR code if you want to see what our latest launch information is, and tune in for that. Otherwise, we'll catch you on the next third Tuesday of the month for the following episode of Zero Gravity Live. You'll find out all about that in your socials soon to come. So if you're not following us, make sure to do so on LinkedIn or wherever you do your social mediaing. You'll see what we're up to for the next episode. But until then, thanks again, Brian. Thanks, Matt and Sterling. Thanks to you, the viewer. Stay weightless, stay frictionless, stay zero gravity.